Hey guys, welcome back to Organic Essentials, where we make real food recipes. And today we're continuing on our Pantry Staples series. We're actually going to get into baking pantry staples. So these are the things I like to keep on hand year-round for baking. All right, so let's get into it. I started baking bread recently, and I use bread flour. I like the King Arthur's organic bread flour. It works pretty well. Really simple. I like to do a no-knead bread recipe. Bread flour is awesome. I keep that on hand year-round. So next, we've got organic cornmeal. I really like making cornbread. Definitely check out our cornbread recipe too. So I like this Bob's Red Mill organic cornmeal. It's just stone ground cornmeal. I like to make my cornbreads from scratch just so that we're not having any additives or unnecessary sugars in there. So yeah, I just like to break it down and get each simple ingredient organic if I can. So we've got pure maple syrup. I like to keep 100% pure maple syrup as a natural sweetener. I actually grew up not knowing that pancake syrup and pure maple syrup are not the same thing. It's real maple syrup, and it's just so much better for our bodies. Doesn't have all these additives. Whenever I'm baking, if I want to add a natural sweetener, pure maple syrup is an option that I like to keep around. So next up, we've got organic peanut butter. So this I actually grabbed from Aldi because it's a really good deal all the time. But yeah, it's just plain organic peanut butter, nothing else added. And really, that's all you want to see in your peanut butter is peanuts and sea salt. I don't like to have any sugars or the preservatives added to it. It does separate, so you just want to stir it up really good, but I don't mind that. I try to get as close to single ingredients as I can, just to try to make things from scratch, just because it's a lot easier to digest. And then also I've got Masa Harina, also in the corn section. I use this to make homemade corn tortillas. So you can use it for a bunch of different things. Tortillas, I've never made tamales, but you can use it for that too. All right, moving along. Next, we've got almond flour. So almond flour, I like to use mostly for pie crusts. Like when I do sweet potato pies, the only ingredient is almonds and it's milled up and that's it. So, all right, next up, we've got nutmeg. I love using nutmeg. Sweet potato, anything, I like to add a little bit of nutmeg to it. Cool, so next up we've got decaf instant coffee grounds. I actually like to use this when I'm baking chocolate desserts and I'm using dark chocolate. It just really brings out and enhances more of that deep, rich, chocolatey, fudgy flavor. And it's crazy, you don't even taste the coffee, you taste more chocolate, and I like that. So I've got this for baking exclusively. So next we've got one of my favorite flours, actually, Einkorn flour. I love Einkorn flour. I used to be very sensitive to gluten and a lot of breads and pastas, but then when I learned later, the more pure you can get your pasta or your wheat for it to be single ingredient and not stripped of its nutrients and enriched, the easier it is for me to digest. And especially Einkorn flour, because it's an ancient grain. I love baking with it, and that's something that I keep on hand. Jovial is the brand. I order it from Thrive Market. Really anything, crackers, breads, flatbreads, tortillas, flour tortillas, all that stuff. I use a lot of Einkorn flour, so that's good. Next, we've got some organic instant yeast. So when I talk about that no-knead bread that I do, that's what I use. At least it's what I've been using, and it works really great. Very simple, very clean, and it's just instant yeast. Next up, we've got some organic rye flour. So I like to make rye crackers from scratch, and sometimes I'll add a little olive oil and rosemary and sea salt, and it just works really great. You don't need anything but the rye, and then you can add some water to it, and then, a little bit of olive oil, and then whatever seasonings you like. Sometimes I add garlic powder. Really, really good. Okay, so next up, we've got cocoa powder. So speaking of chocolate desserts, cocoa powder is also something I always keep year round. That's some organic cocoa powder. It's just great. It's single ingredient. Again, no preservatives, nothing added to it, just straight up cocoa powder. Next up, we've got baking soda. Just regular plain old baking soda. Anytime you're doing a lot of different desserts or breads or anything that needs to rise between baking soda and baking powder, probably gonna end up needing those. You always wanna keep some baking soda and baking powder on hand. Also, baking soda is great for a lot of different things. You can clean with it and cook with it. So I've always got baking soda in the house, okay? So next we have some raw honey from here in Georgia, and I get it from the farmer's market, but I use that also for a natural sweetener. So I've got options. Sometimes I might use pure maple syrup. Sometimes I might use some raw local honey. A lot of nutritional benefits to raw honey, especially when it's local to you. All right, so next up we've got granulated monk fruit. Personally, I love the golden granulated monk fruit allulose blend, not the monk fruit erythritol blend. You will see probably both in the stores. I prefer the allulose, easier to digest and very natural. The cool thing about monk fruit, it doesn't spike your glycemic levels, but it tastes just as sweet as sugar, and allulose is very sweet. So the blend is incredible. It's my favorite brown sugar replacement. It also caramelizes just like sugar, tastes like sugar, looks like sugar, bakes like sugar. So I love that. Okay, next we have our Ceylon cinnamon. I actually didn't used to like cinnamon. But I don't know, something happened and now I like it a lot. And I put it on pretty much everything. I put it on my fruit and I bake a lot with it. To me, it tastes sweeter than other types of cinnamon. And supposedly Ceylon cinnamon is the type of cinnamon that has the least amount of heavy metals in it. So that's another thing. This year I kind of switched from other cinnamons to Ceylon cinnamon when I'm cooking. Okay, so next up we've got some dark chocolate, 72% cacao. I love baking with dark chocolate. I really like the taste of baked chocolate. Something about dark chocolate and then a little bit of sea salt, that like sweet and salty combo is really, really good. And I actually really love the almost little bit of bitterness that it gives. It's just really rich and really delicious. Like, it's got a really good flavor. Also, I really like to get 72% and up cacao when I can for the chocolate chips. Dark chocolate is really beneficial in antioxidants and it tastes good. So I like to bake with dark chocolate. Okay, so next we've got arrowroot powder. So a switch that I made recently was from using cornstarch to arrowroot powder. And the reason being is really most cornstarches I would find, they're all GMO corn and it's just definitely more processed than you would prefer. And I learned that arrowroot actually works the same way for, you know, when you need a thickening agent, something to thicken your sauces or anything like that. Or sometimes I'll even use it in place of cornstarch for chicken if I want to get it kind of crispy in the air fryer. All right, so next up, we've got baking powder. Yeah, once again, if you're baking anything, cornbread, and yeah, it's just definitely a pantry staple you want to keep in your cabinet at all times. You're going to need it at some point. All right, and then last but not least, we've got our vanilla extract. Going along with anything sweet that you might be baking, cookies, pies, cakes, brownies, pancakes, anything like that. It might call for like a teaspoon of it, but it really makes a difference and you'll notice when it's not in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. These are the things that I'm always keeping in my pantry. Last year was the first time I've started baking a lot more and I've been really enjoying it. Just making things from scratch so that I can make things without all those preservatives and other chemicals and things added to it that we don't really need. But something I learned is it's not too hard to bake it from scratch. It takes a little bit extra time, but it's really not bad. Sometimes it actually does cost less to just get the single ingredients, keep them in your pantry, and you can make them as much as you want at home. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel when you do that. Thanks guys for watching. Eat well, be well, and I'll see you next time.